Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome back to another episode of Top Tier Talk. We're going to start with you, Chavez, and I quote in the group chat at 6:26 on Sunday. You put football lost today. So run us through your game. 3-3 against
Ooh.
Coventry, 3-0 up, but eventually coming out on top on penalties.
Yeah, I mean, I've had some time to think about it, and naturally, emotions are high when a game ends. Football did lose that day because everyone in football hates Man United, clearly. And we won. We're the villains, we're the devils. So good on everyone else. I found it very interesting the reaction after that match about the offsides. I don't know what you guys will say about that, and the fact that people want the game to be, a fairy tale. Go watch La La Land. Go watch The Notebook. Rules are rules. That was 100% an offside. There's no two ways about it. Also, the penalty, I feel like that wasn't the penalty. But anyways, it's understandable. It's Coventry. Shouldn't even get to that point. Um, as for the game itself, actually looking at the game, there's been a whole thing about control versus chaos with Man United, dichotomy that Ten Hag just isn't able to figure out. For once, we actually had control in a football match in 60 minutes, 65, 70 minutes. We had full control. Coventry didn't have any shot, really. They didn't have a threat. And then complete opposite. We took Manu off, who's the best ball retention player on our team. Understandable because he's a kid, and if he got injured in the 85th minute, I'm sure people would want Ten Hag dead either way. So I understand why he took him off, but we don't have much option. So the players you bring on, they're just not going to be as good. McTominay is a fitness machine, so obviously he was going to stay on. It's understandable why that sub was made, but people are using that sub to say what happened next is the reason. You can see why. You can see why we then could not retain the ball. And honestly, regardless of who gets subbed on, I don't care if I get subbed on against Coventry. If you're playing for Man United, you shouldn't care about a game plan. You should be able to see it out, and we weren't able to. It was poor. It was shocking, and yeah, that's why I said it's embarrassing. And as for the context of the game, we won it, which is great, and people will forget about this loss if we beat Man City. We won't beat Man City, so that's why this is an issue. We won't beat. That's the problem. If we, no one cares about a semi-final. If you get by and win the competition, the moment we lose to City, it will be back to this. So yeah, I'm overall upset because it's starting to settle in. People aren't celebrating. The players aren't celebrating. The players didn't celebrate that win, except for maybe
Anthony is
Hoyland.
celebrating.
Yeah, Anthony's an embarrassment of a human being, but that's not a shock. He
Really?
abuses
What?
his wife. So like this whole thing about Anthony, that's nothing compared to what he actually does. So it's, and I'm sorry for saying that because obviously it's alleged, but the fact
Allegedly.
that he's even caught alleged, yeah, and the fact that there are three women who are willing to go out and say that to him, this cupping his ears thing is expected. He's not a good human being. He's not someone you should look up to as a role model, and we've learned that from footballers, and that was just embarrassing on his part. Yeah.
Is he one of your worst signings? Value taken into account? Not
He
just
is the he's the worst signing, Dan. Value taken into account, he's the worst signing we've ever made in history, and that
Chavez,
won't be beat.
Chavez, I know obviously you said it was like a slim chance that you got through and you managed to get through to the final against City now. Are like I know you're saying, oh, we were losing to City. Do you think there's even a slim chance that you beat City in a final? You know, a final's all to play for in the end. It's only 90 minutes.
Yeah, no, you're right. We can. Oh, if it's one match, anything can happen, and I'm
Yeah.
glad it's one match. But it's Man City. They're the best team in the world, regardless of where they are now in the Champions League. They're out, but they are the best team in the world, and I just think a lot would have to go our way, and for that to happen, a lot of things would have to fall in place. I mean, it's like a kind of you've seen Marvel, right? Like a million scenarios, and one sees Man United win. It's that. It is that. Unfortunately, City would have to have injuries to key players. We would have to somehow have players come back from the dead that have died. Clearly, I don't know what is going on. Every game we've got three injuries. We need to have somewhat of an 11 because even the players playing right now are playing through injury. Maguire is injured. He said he's injured. He's just put the club forward first because he's the only centre back. Bruno is not 100% fit. He's just not. He's not. They're players. They're on painkillers. I don't know what they're doing, but it's just the position we're in. It's sad, but that's
I
why I don't see
I
us winning.
I was just going to say something about that. I know you obviously just said about how your players you think are on painkillers as well, but I also think that as well for Arsenal. I think they're like kind of Saka, for example. I know obviously we take the piss out of him for kind of saying he limps off and everything like that. He could be injected with painkillers as well. Man City,
Yeah.
Pep talks about it as well. How he says the hectic schedule, like players have to play like 3 games in 1 week, and it's. Do you think there'll come a time in the future where eventually the FA or UEFA will say, "Hold on a second, we need to pack in
no,
sort of maybe
no,
UEFA like international
Yeah,
friendlies or
no,
Carabao Cup should be only
no.
played by
I'll probably
like
just increase
under
the squad
23s
number
or
of
do you know what
squad.
I mean?
That's
Something I
all
don't know.
I do.
I
I
don't actually agree with that, Dan. I'm on the lower club side. Like I think Championship clubs play like a similar level of games to us. We should just get on with it.
it's yeah.
And
This is what I was going to say. I think it was. So I can't remember who it was. Someone that's going into the playoffs in League One. They guarantee playoffs. They'll end up playing 59 games this season, and it's the whole argument of if you're at Man City, Man United, Arsenal, Chelsea, you're going to leave the stadium, you're going to go back to the training ground in a nice little coach where you haven't got to worry about your legs getting crushed, whereas we've all been on a school coach in our lifetime or whatever, that is cramped. Whereas players that are leaving in your Portsmouth team or even Watford or teams like that in the Championship, it's not going to be luxury travel. It's not going to be first class flights, private jets everywhere. It's going to be a lot less like it's worse conditions.
get
Are
what
going to be
you're
worse.
given.
The trainers are going to be worse. The conditions of the training pitches are going to be worse. And it's sure, yes, I appreciate being at the top level is a million miles above Championship League One, League Two, unless you're Man United playing Coventry, obviously. But obviously it sways in. Obviously, that's why there's a lot more injuries in the lower levels because of the quality of the pitches and the quality of the physios and stuff. So it does. I can see what they're.
I was just
It's based on the
raising the
money
point.
the
I was
league
just
generates as
no,
well.
it's
I think it's
the
a
amount of
No,
money.
like no, the biggest person to complain was on Saturday. Pep was complaining about it, but Pep's got a £60 million player, however many he paid for Nunes, all these players that don't even get minutes. So he's the last person on the planet who should be complaining about that. But the bigger clubs seem to complain more.
And just to base, has any of you seen? You probably wouldn't have. Truro City's fixture list recently.
I haven't, but I know they're very
played
far south.
They played April 4th, April 6th, April 8th, April 10th, April 11th, April 13th, April 16th, April 18th, and April 20th. They played games on those dates.
Away, all away.
They're all at home. There was an issue with the stadium
So-
earlier in the season. They are in the National League South.
That's the bad management of whoever.
That's
put
very
the
bad.
game
Yeah,
on.
whoever's made that, that's ridiculous. I
That's-
know, obviously, we're talking about how you get on with it, blah blah, but that's bad.
That's
what
that's
8 games in 10 days. That's really bad.
Yeah, that's what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
I'm
9
just
games in
Devil's
16
advocate.
days.
You're right. Obviously, the lower level teams they just put up with it and
Mm.
sharp, etc. But there's a lot more money in the Premier League as well, and it probably costs more for these managers, which is why I kind of understand why Pep also complains.
You want to keep your best players fit to yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and
the consequences are bigger.
The pressure is much higher as well in terms of him keeping his job.
I think also
I agree.
it depends. It's a small pool, and again, it literally involves you three and the other top 6 clubs. Is, for example, the money that Man United have spent or wasted, or Arsenal have spent, and Chelsea have obviously wasted. You've got a lot more money to bulk up your squad, whereas.
But we generate most of this money.
It's
as well.
shirt sales.
Oh, of course. Oh, yeah. No, I'm not saying you don't generate the money, but you've got
lots of the money that comes in the Prem is the top 6 sides generate.
Yeah. I know that in terms of you generate the money or the club or you spend money on transfers. You've got the budget to bulk out your squad or bulk out your clubs or bulk out certain things. Whereas I'll use Portsmouth earlier. They're coming up to this Championship next season. If they spend £5-10 million on a player, that's their budget gone. They can't bulk up. It's either they bulk up their squad for these games, or they buy 1 or 2 good players in the hope of staying up, and that could take them 5-6 years to get read to a point of a decent sized squad. That's obviously no disrespect to them. I think they won the league in League One. So, but it's the balance of, as you said, it's the money, and the money aspect that won't change it because it earns too much money. But it's also a balance of they've got the money to sort of solve part of the issue. They can have a bigger squad. They'd have to rotate the players. Or also the academies. You look.
Well, this is what I said. This is what I wanted to say. I wanted to touch on. Let's say, for example, the Carabao Cup. Like, you're only allowed to play like players who have less than 10 Premier League appearances in the. Don't you think that could be a good thing?
I don't think it's necessarily that. If you look at all of your clubs, I mean, Chavez. I can't off the top of my head, but youth players that play for Man United, like there's been a few. Obviously, the Arsenal Chelsea game starts in 45 minutes as we're recording. Gilchrist is in the starting 11. Obviously, Saka, Arsenal academy product. You're creating quality players. It's just that I'm sure there's like you nicked him off us, Chavez. You was going on. He's the best player in the world, Harry Amas. Would you not rather? Well, no, but you said it sarcastically. But obviously, like
no, I'd like to see it. We're going to have a couple more.
Would you not rather have him in the cup than Rashford, for example, who's obviously failing and not getting?
No, Dan, I'm on your side in this argument. I think we've got more to utilise. I don't think we should complain as much. We should just play.
I agree, but I just
it's the money aspect, yeah.
Devil's advocate, don't do it.
I just want to ask Chavez something. There's obviously a lot of rumours around Ten Hag's, and we do speak about his Ten Hag's future. Thomas Tuchel said he'd be open to the job. Would you say that'd be an upgrade or downgrade on Eric Ten Hag?
Smirk, look at him.
No, once Ten Hag gets sacked, I don't care who comes in Amir. I'm going to support them for the amount
But
of
would
years
you
that.
say Tuchel would be an upgrade on Ten Hag or not?
No, I don't think anyone's an upgrade or a downgrade because it doesn't matter who you are. When you come to Man United, Mourinho was an upgrade to whoever was
That's a
before him, but
PR
it didn't.
response.
It didn't. No, but it
We're
didn't
very
work
media
out. Like,
trained these
It's
days.
media
Yeah.
trained.
how do I know who's an upgrade? If Mourinho and Van Gaal, all
Okay,
these different
based
types of
on
managers failed, then it doesn't. I mean, Pep Guardiola could come in tomorrow. Can you guarantee that Pep's going to win us the Premier League or something in the
no,
next
but if
three,
you
4
look
years?
at
No, you can't.
CVs and like what they've won, you'd say it's an upgrade.
Well, Tuchel has achieved more in football than Erik ten Hag. Yes. Does that matter when it comes to the Man United job? No.
I think it matters in any job.
Okay, but when in a very unique club like ours, where we've seen this, we've seen managers with incredible, incredible CVs come in and do nothing versus Ollie, for example, who didn't have much. It's just the same old crap. We don't win Premier Leagues. We don't win Champions Leagues. So I don't admit that. What I'm trying to say is I don't care who comes in next. Good, I'll support them.
Give him Graham Potter then.
I'll support. I'll support Graham Potter for the amount of years he's given, and I won't want him out before his contract ends.
Moving
So
on
you never
to
want a manager out.
No, because we won't give an unlimited contract. I'm sure we'll give Graham Potter a 2-3 year contract. I'll support him until his time is up because I'm not so convinced about anyone else in the world that's ready to, win everything for Man United. I just don't see that person. So, like previously, whenever we've got a manager, there's always been an obvious manager. Like when Mourinho, all these managers, it was very obvious they were going to be the next manager. Now it's just like whatever. There is no one really that you can say, oh yeah.
you're just cycling through top managers that aren't getting you anywhere.
Do you know what, mate? I'll answer your question. No, I don't think Tuchel's an upgrade to Ten Hag. No.
Moving on to someone that is their manager out, me.
Yeah.
Well, I touched on obviously before the episode. If you play like that as you did against Man City, you get somewhere in the league. You said you do, and obviously we have a small
I feel like we
prediction.
do. Do you know what? We have played like that before where we've created loads of chances, but obviously the attacking front and Jackson, especially this season, has missed a lot of chances. And you can't blame that one on Poch. You can't blame one-on-ones being missed or poor decision making in the final third. So I'm not going to really gun on him, despite me still being Poch out. But we should have beaten Man City. I think we had enough chances in the 90 to win, and obviously that penalty shout, which is absolutely disgraceful because it was a pen, and if the Wan-Bissaka one was a pen, then why isn't this one given a pen? But we can talk about the
We can
same.
talk about consistency. Yeah.
That also wasn't the biggest referee decision this weekend, but
Yeah.
There's no point every week going on about the same crap. We know we've got crap officials, but we can talk about how we shouldn't just define the fact Chelsea lose on that decision at the same time. Because Jackson had a lot of chances, and to be fair to him, I don't think he was ever bought in to be the number one choice, but he just became it because he's quite raw still, and I'm going to back him as well. I know a lot of people are on his case, and Drogba was on tweet. He said he's on his side. He has given us quite a decent amount of output compared to other strikers we've bought for big money in the past, like the Crespo,
how many is he on this season?
Fernando Torres. I'm pretty sure he's in double
It's 10
figures.
goals, 28 games, 10 goals, 4 assists. He's got an average rating of 7.
For a 35 million striker, I mean, I think he's got just a bit more than Hoyland. I'm not even trying to banter here, but like, if we're giving a lot to Hoyland and stuff, then I mean, we've got to give him praise for the money we spent. I think the output we've got back is better than what it should be. It should be much higher with the amount. It should be probably goals plus a season, but is either he's not a striker like that to be clinical, or he's just not developed that part of his game yet. So it's just like, what do you do?
This might sound ridiculous.
In the third point, I thought he should have passed that ball earlier, but again, it's just shit decision making. So there's nothing more to us this year. My only pleasure now will be watching Arsenal collapse in the Premier League. There's nothing else to cheer for because our season's done now.
I was going to say, would you? This might sound ridiculous, and obviously, I know none of us have any way in or sway on what Chelsea do in the summer. Would you like to? Because I know you played with like quite. He plays up top on his own, doesn't he? You've got wingers and Palmer obviously around him, but he doesn't play with anyone. Do you reckon he'd play well bouncing off someone if he was to obviously?
I've always said
or in Nkunku maybe because he was signed as a striker, wasn't he?
And that's another thing. I think Nkunku obviously being out and not being available for most of the season is obviously.
Where is he?
He's injured. He's
again.
Yeah. I don't know if it's our medical staff, but obviously Palmer's out now.
He's ill though, isn't he? Bless him.
Yeah, he's got illness, mouth breather. Other talking points. Obviously, I know after the game, Thiago Silva was obviously crying, and I think it was quite like kind of just
Madueke behind him laughing.
Exactly. We're going to move on to that, but I think he's leaving at the end. So Thiago Silva Chelsea obviously became on the free. I think it's one of the best frees signings of all time.
I agree.
Or
Yeah.
maybe a James Milner to Liverpool off the top of my head, and I can't remember many more. Apart from that, if we can try and think of that. But where do you think Thiago Silva ranks in Chelsea centre backs? Would you class him as a legend, a great
Yeah, why
player?
not? When did
Or
you sign him?
why?
Like
I
2020?
mean, he won a Champions League, didn't he?
He
Yeah,
won a Champions League, Super Cup, Club World Cup.
yeah, why not? He's great. I think he's
Maybe,
one of the best centre backs ever. Obviously, I know before he came to Chelsea,
yeah.
he was at PSG and he was classed as one of the best, which is why he got him on a free when he was like what 35, 36. Even still, he's been a complete Rolls Royce for you ever since you've bought him,
Mm.
and I think he's continued to be that at 40 years old. So yeah, I think he's been up there as one of your legends in my opinion. Why
He
not?
is.
He's also how many goals has Anthony on this season, Jess? Is it 1, 2?
I think.
Bring you up
I think
again.
it's
Anthony got two.
Yeah, I just
one.
hated on it.
Might be
Thiago-
1 or 2.
Thiago Silva has outscored Anthony this season with 3.
Okay,
That's
okay.
okay. Thanks, Dan.
all right,
He
pushing the
hates
hate.
Anthony anyway.
Yeah, I hate Anthony. So like,
It's just
He
fueling your
probably likes
hatred.
that stat more.
Yeah.
Isn't it? More.
I do want to say though that I am very jealous of you being able to sign Thiago Silva for a free. He's unbelievable.
Yeah, it was a great
Because
bit from
I
the
can't see anyone being available, like, even players that are playing now. That I could be just being completely blind or oblivious to something here. But players of that quality that are still going to play, I mean, he's 40 years old in September, obviously. As I said, end of the season, he's not going to be at Chelsea. But so he would have been, what, 35 when you signed him? Still at that
he was
quality of
35,
player.
36 when we signed him, so he wasn't like he was still
Like,
in his prime.
anyone that's going to
Latter
be.
part, yeah.
Like, if you're picking a 30, 32-year-old now that in 3-4 years' time is going to be available to come into the Premier League and, as you said, win Club World Cups, win the UCL, win like these trophies, I can't see any.
It'll be maybe a striker, a longevity striker, maybe for a couple seasons. But I can't
Lewandowski or
see-
something. But yeah, no, in terms of like a.
But in terms of the Madueke thing, I think that just shows. I'm not going to look into it too much because obviously we've all seen the clip of Roy Keane being pissed off with City or Liverpool and Man United like hugging and kissing before games and stuff. I think it's just with the culture of today's game where everyone's just more together and
played with more respect.
Exactly, more respect back in the day, and I think it's just with this younger like footballing generations like kind of just way of
Get on with it.
Exactly. They do. They're all like friends and stuff. So I'm not going to look into it too much.
Is that the end of Chelsea? You said your season's
It
over,
is, yeah,
so we
two
could.
seasons without a trophy now with the new regime. I think it's going to probably be one of our longer.
Poch double out, Poch out squared.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm still
Poch cubed.
out.
Even though that was not Poch's fault that game.
I know.
And the Carabao Cup final. And the Carabao Cup. Both games he did really well. Set out a good squad.
He also brought on a right back in the 80th or in the last stages of the game when we're chasing the game. So yeah.
I was going to say, segueing into the Arsenal-Chelsea game, Amir, we'll end on you with your prediction, and we'll swiftly move on to Elliot's terrible week as an Arsenal fan.
Of course, no. I'm going to back. I think we're going to beat him 1-0. To be honest with you, I honestly do think so.
At the Emirates, you're confident.
At the Emirates.
You're acting like
Maybe if it was at your gaff, I can understand a 1-0, but
it's not a fortress anymore, really. The Emirates.
what, because of Bayern Munich?
No, because of Aston Villa as well. But
Oh, yeah,
But they're good.
I think
you still think we got this stuff here?
They're top of the league. The pressure's building up again. I don't think Saka ate or slept the night before, so I really think we've got a chance here. So I do back us to win 1-0, and I always will against Arsenal. So I can't wait for that game. We'll see if we are Palmer FC.
You haven't beaten them since 2021.
Thank you, Dan. Yeah.
Just a quick
And
stab.
your last three.
Record that.
Your last three away matches are draws in general as well.
There we go. It's a fitting for a draw or a win. We drew to them and we should have beaten them at the bridge.
You threw that away completely, didn't you?
Yeah, but we'll see. We don't have that donkey Sanchez in goal anymore, do we? So we'll see what happens.
Elliot, take it away.
Bayern Munich, first of all, and then we'll get on to Wolves. Yeah, Bayern Munich. If I'm honest, I think what I was watching for the first half and majority of the second half as well, I actually kind of enjoyed what football we were playing against them. I think we were really battling them down on the left and the right. We were really commanding that midfield very well. I think Jorginho had a good game. Declan Rice had a good game. Odegaard had a good game. And I think we really showed them a good game. And unfortunately, obviously, Kimmich is an absolute beast of a right back and centre defensive midfield and came in strong and gave us a goal. Gave him a goal, sorry. It's one of them ones, unfortunately, and then we tried our absolute hardest towards the end to try and get a goal back, brought on absolutely everyone to try and get a goal, but we still had that kind of mentality toward the end where we were trying to look, I get it. I understand it's like what you do in training where you have to kind of like pass it round to kind of find little gaps here and there to try and get them walk it into the goal. But sometimes you need to have a set of bollocks on you and have a shot. There was too many times I think where we were 1-0 down. I think it was in the 65th minute when Kimmich scored. And it's the 75th, 80th minute.
It's really slow.
Yeah, it's very, very slow. And you think, well, hold on, we've got like Jesus on, Martinelli on, Trossard on, Saka on, Havertz on,
And
all of
Ketia
these
came on
players.
as well.
Exactly, we have all these attackers on, and we weren't breaking them down. We were playing right to left at the back between Saliba and Ben White.
It's almost
And
like
it was just strange to me because, but as I say, I wasn't against like that kind of football in the first half. We were playing good football. We were breaking them down. It's just we carried on that sort of football to think, oh, eventually they'll break down. But no, you need to kind of have a shot here and there at like 25 yards out. Because to be fair, Neuer in goal, he's one of the best, if not the best keeper ever to grace the game. But you still got to have the chance because what like the 1 in a million shot where it goes absolutely perfectly in the top left or top right, and you'd one run up and then you have a good game in your hands.
this is what I was going to say. As you said, it almost seems like you were playing Arsenal football. Like Arteta's got you so regimented that the players are scared to take a risk. That's
agree,
why
yeah.
it was so slow. And as you said, you can pass side to side if you're playing against your Palace or your Sheffield or West Ham that you were falling up against in whatever it was, 25 minutes. Teams like Bayern, obviously, you took 4 points off City this season, but again, you don't do that just by you've got to push them.
Keep it
You
the same.
can't
Yeah, I agree.
you can't
I
push them
agree.
too hard because you'll get caught out. But you can't just you can't sit off them in possession. If you were I said this to I was watching the game. I was like, we were playing with like you were playing like you were the ones that were 1-0 up.
Yeah, I agree.
It's just
That's a great point. I'm going to quickly segue in. How many times, because me and we watched the game together, were we shouting, just get the ball in the box? The amount of
Yep.
the balls just land anywhere, like mistakes happen in the box. And I don't think Arsenal actually played that ball into the box once. It was just side, and there's a lot of what
I remember that, me and you were literally like 86th minute just saying, get the ball into the box,
never
just
know
run
what
and
happens.
cross or
Exactly.
play
It's
it
just-
somewhere. Just
It's
do that.
football,
Yeah.
but sometimes you just can't play the perfect football if you're that desperate. You need to
Yeah.
get it.
I was going to say, look, even as bad as it is for you, I think it was a very good 2 days good day for football because a lot of people growing up now with football, they're starting to see this Pep Arteta, perfect structure, perfect tactics, follow it to the T as the ultimate way of playing football, and other people that don't do that as a bit inferior. But the two teams that allow their players to express themselves, the two managers who do that, Tuchel especially, they came out on top. So it's not as evil versus good versus bad, where the good is Pep Arteta, incredible
Robot versus human.
game plan. Yeah, you sometimes have to let the player express themselves.
I agree.
And the teams that do that, they ended up winning. And we got robbed. The last time you played Real Madrid was in 2005-2006 season, only once in the Champions League, and it would have been and you won that, by the way. So it would have
the Bernabeu
interesting.
When we keeping it in the corner.
Yeah.
just to touch on as well. I touched on before the episode, and I'll jump in again. Obviously, I've mocked Saka for missing the penalty a few times. Obviously, probably his second most important kick in his career. That corner in injury time, and he's hit the first man. Chavez is nodding his head.
I wouldn't say it's that important,
okay,
but I understand where you're coming from.
Up to this point, he's had the Euros penalty, which is obviously the most a decent ball there. As you said,
Yeah, I agree. It
causes carnage, and he's hit the first man like an idiot.
I agree.
It's so frustrating for me.
Just I understand it is frustrating, but just let me play devil's advocate again. I agree with you. Deduct wages, I get it. He's carrying an injury, we can all tell. Number one. It's like the last second kick of the game. He's obviously leggy, isn't he?
Then who else? They're Arsenal. They've got a better set piece taker than a dead on his feet Saka.
We can't. It's one moment in a match. There's about a billion things that could have happened.
I'm not putting
the thing is as well is
like if someone gets a touch, then he's a master, isn't he? He did the.
The thing is, Saka's kind of been like that for the past kind of while though. He hasn't really put in a good corner in a very long time. He's kind of been either over the fucking back or toward the front man, and he's kind of obviously it was set in stone. I knew it was going to happen. To be fair, man, when we were watching it, I said, "Watch this cross be absolute dog shit," and it was. But you're totally right, Amir Chavez. You can't bargain your kind of victory off that one corner. We're hoping for like Gabriel Saliba to go bosh and then get it in for 1-1 at the 90th minute. You can't bargain that. We should have taken our chances with 7 fucking attackers on the pitch, going up and actually putting the ball into them and giving them a chance.
Yeah.
But maybe this is a lesson learned.
Don't put
and Wolves, by the way, very quickly to finish off, Wolves, 2-0 Wolves. I couldn't watch it, unfortunately. I was in Barcelona, but apparently we had a good game. Trossard, great goal. and Odegaard
He
did
did.
go at the end to secure the win. And it was a very important win, and it was a very hard win as well, because Wolves are a very tricky team to play against away. So very well done to us. Fantastic. Bring on the fucking Chelsea. We're going to win.
I was going to say, I'll fill in for Elliot. Trossard's goal was brilliant. Well taken. I don't know what Wolves were crying about. But yeah, no, it's one of those games that you'd look at, as you said, the West Ham game before, the Sheffield game, you draw it and you'd be like, oh, here we go again. Like, obviously, with you Arsenal fans. But yeah, you went there. Wolves isn't an easy place to go. And
Exactly.
it was a comfortable 2-0. They never, they hit the Raya tip one onto the post quite early on, but apart from that, I can't really remember them threatening.
Yeah, that's good. That's all you want to see as well. It's like, obviously, I know you said, Chavez, sometimes it's quite boring to watch that sort of robotic kind of football that Arteta and Pep have kind of employed onto their team. But if it works, it works. Do you know what I mean? But then
No,
sometimes,
it
as you
wins you
say,
league titles. Yeah, it's good for
but
league.
eventually, obviously, I understand where you're coming from as well. Is if you come up against a team who's trying to read through your kind of bullshit of robot football, you've got to have a different plan B to say, right, blare it up. Do you know what I mean? So then they're like, whoa, this isn't Arsenal. Do you know what I mean?
And I suppose to finish on, let's finish on a wonderful, happy note. Nottingham Forest have written to PGMOL and the FA, requested the release of the audio. So one of three things are going to happen here. He's going to admit that he's a Luton fan, he's not given the penalty. He's going to admit that he's just got no brain cells. Because I do think, maybe not necessarily getting the 3 penalties, even if they were to be awarded one of the penalties, I take it you've all seen them.
No, I thought
I-
all 3 were penalties.
That's what I'm
I
saying.
thought 3 were penalties. Yeah.
So I thought all 3 were as well, but as maybe not to give 3 penalties, even if they got 1, it would have been a bit understandable. Or the FA are going to go, no, you're not getting the audio, and everyone's going to be like, well,
Why
why not?
What's to hide?
That's the 3 options. It's obviously not going to. He's not obviously not going to.
What if he's related to Ashley Young? They're all about Ashley
No.
Young as well.
To be fair,
Every
I'm
single
pretty
one.
happy that Forest did that. I'm pretty happy that they outed their bullshit on Twitter,
So
because it
someone
basically
has to
just
do
lets
it.
everyone
Really
know that they're a
funny.
horrible organisation. They need to be outed for their bad failures. If I did this bad mistake like that in my job, I'd be sacked.
I take it none of you. You might have seen it on Twitter. The Leeds goal yesterday. I take it none of you have seen it. It was an actual human error. Nonso was like his whole body was offside and the goal stood, and everyone's like, "It's
There's
a
no
terrible
VAR.
decision." No, it's a terrible decision, but it's human error, and he's running at full pace. It's like people would rather see genuine human error than someone sitting there and watching it 15 times on a screen and going, "Nah, that ain't a pen." He
No,
gets
I'm
one
just-
watch at it, and if he's got it wrong, he's got it wrong, and it was a terrible decision.
I'm
But
guess they've kind of outed them out now because now
Yeah,
it's like
same.
they're on the back pedal now, aren't they? PGMO,
Mm-hmm.
and there's been a lot of bad decisions this season. Like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
think we're way more
the
than
last 4 years.
No, I
exactly.
think this season
This
specifically.
season's been
And I
horrible.
think
There was
I
the
hope
Liverpool
they
one was the
change that,
season.
because
There was this one.
Howard Webb is the lead guy, and he fucked up in the World Cup final as well with some bad decisions. So the blind leading the blind, isn't it? So
Leading the
Yeah,
blind.
exactly. Yeah.
it's-
No, I agree with that, Mir.
um,
Perfectly.
I suppose anything else, Chavez?
Yes.
You've got. I was
I've
gonna
got
say.
something.
Oh, go on,
Uh,
now. Fire away.
Before we go, I just want to say welcome back, Timber. 45 minutes with the under 21s to scored a fucking juicy goal. Top bins. Anyone saw it? Beautiful. I can't wait to welcome
Yes,
him
we did.
back. And secondly, we're going to win. I'm going to put a prediction in for us tonight. I reckon we're going to win 2-0.
Oh, actually, quick. Arsenal Spurs on Sunday. Quick prediction for that.
Oh,
Yeah, you're
Dodgers.
losing that.
Go on, El.
That's why.
1-0
That's why I think
Arsenal.
you winning
1-0
today is
Arsenal.
fine. Yeah, you win
1-0
today.
Arsenal from
But
Elliot. We'll see you on Monday when either Elliot's right and he's had a 6-point week or he's finished with none. Thank you very much for watching and goodbye.